Hi everyone! Today we're going to learn how to do a weekly spread with your deck that you might not have even taken out of the plastic yet. This will help you gain some fluency. A lot of times it can be really difficult to learn how to read tarot when you don't have a lot of people to practice on. Maybe you feel a bit nervous about it. So today I'm going to teach you something. Oh, little booklets. I'm going to teach you something that might help you get a bit of fluency there. So if you're here, it means you have at least a curiosity in tarot. And today we're going to work with the classic Smith Rider-Waite deck. This one is gigantic. It's one of the big ones. I don't even know how I'm going to shuffle this, but we're going to can't get my hands around it, but I'll try. So I'll go over a little bit of the background, how I read and perceive tarot, but you can skip ahead if you don't want to listen to any of that and jump right to the chapter that you are interested in. Like tarot itself, this is a question with infinite answers. Every reader will describe what it is and how it works, and they are all right. That's because it speaks to everyone in a unique way, so how you perceive the tarot and its purpose is for you alone to discover. To me, tarot is 78 doors. When you open a door by pulling a card from the deck, you as the reader of the card can choose to go through that door and explore the other side of it. When you think or say what you want tarot to address or answer, the operation of mixing and shuffling the cards allows your direct influence or consciousness to back off, and your higher self to connect with the unseen intelligence, and it places the cards in the order they need to be in order to complete the task you've given them. Most people want to answer a question correctly, which is a lot easier to do when the question's based in fact. Truth isn't as easy to verify, so when we're reading for another person or ourselves, we don't have a way to tell for certain that what we're seeing is true. That's why some readings you get, you spend a lot of time going over what you already know. Tarot cards externalize thoughts and feelings and motivations, like a mirror that reflects anything in front of it. Any method of divination is supported by its structure, just as the words I'm speaking are supported by an alphabet. We put a bunch of letters together, and like magic, we have words and meaning. If you have a language system that relies on pictures, dots, lines, ones and zeros, you name it, we'll only be able to interact with it on those terms. Tarot was built as a visual language with pictures and symbols. When you look at a card, the images on the card are going to convey something, perhaps many things. If we look at the High Priestess card, for example, we see a female figure sitting between two pillars. We see B and J, we see a cross, a crescent shape, water in the background, and a curtain behind her with palm and pomegranates. Even without having ever picked up a book on meanings, seeing this card and reading the title conveys something unknown or elusive, something deep and mysterious. If you decide to expand your knowledge of the different symbols and scenes through books and teachers, you will collect more meanings over time, and perhaps the card will say more to you about different topics. That said, there is no baseline knowledge for tarot. It will speak to you at any level. Its goal is to deliver the message, and it will do so using any cards necessary. The practice I'm going to show you today helps you learn tarot by doing tarot. It can be really stressful to try to learn by doing readings for others when we don't have a good grasp of the meanings. It kind of stresses us out, makes us worry that we're wrong, which only makes it worse because then you will feel like you are wrong and doubt yourself, and it's a spiral. You deserve to have a spiritually rewarding experience with tarot. So for now, let's practice on ourselves. Put yourself in the right headspace to use tarot. This might mean you set the mood by lighting candles, putting on some music, or being alone. There are no rules when it comes to using tarot, but you should always do what it takes to set yourself up for success, by being as comfortable and aware as possible. Shuffle your cards and think or say, "Show me the possibilities for the week ahead, starting today," and shuffle until you feel like you should stop. Lay out 7 cards in a row. The first card shows you today, the second card shows you tomorrow, and so on. When I do this, I leave the spread out all week so I can think about it as the week goes on. But if that's not realistic for you, just take a photo. I take photos as well, so that I can have a date stamp and see if any major patterns emerge over time. This spread represents what you might experience this week. Me, I'm a risk-averse person, so one reason I like to do this is to check for warnings. If I see a delay or trouble card, I'll try to think about what was planned for that day and try to offset potential problems before they come up. Do this for an entire month. Only consume yourself with 1 card per day. Stare at the door that's opened and walk through it. Imagine that you are in the scene, and if there are more than one figure there, imagine which one you would be. What attitude is the card giving off? What do you hear in there? Do you want to stay in there, or do you want to leave? Unless it worries you too much to move on with your day, avoid reading card meanings from your books or resources until the end of the day, when you'll be able to compare your experience to what the card was trying to tell you. This approach helped me retain card meanings because I learn best by doing things. I can read all the books I want and I'll still struggle to remember anything, but if I lived the card meaning, that memory is now coded into my program and will be much easier to call it up the next time that particular card meaning is needed. So in front of us, this is my last week, and just for a demonstration, I just wanted to show you what it kind of looked like and ended up being like when you put it into practice. So I put the spread down almost a week ago today, so I've lived through all of these cards, and sometimes they're not going to tell you anything groundbreaking or really crazy. They're just going to show you. They're going to show you some part of themselves. They're going to reveal a layer, because each of these cards works over time sometimes. So this is the top row of my weekly spread, and I usually have more cards, so I do 21, but just for simplicity, I left it like this for now. We see last Saturday was my 9 of Cups in reverse, and actually below this card was the Tower. So those two together were all about change of consciousness, like just something like a revelation. And I happened to go to like a retreat on this day, so it was really an opportunity to reset how I perceive things and what I think about, because it was an abrupt break in routine. So those things, when they take you out of your element, they're really good for letting your mind kind of expand a little bit. Like, it wasn't that crazy, but it was still kind of like, you're sitting in I went to like a flotation therapy, for example. So this was just that, changing into a robe, being in a different headspace. It was great. Page of Wands in reverse. So this one oftentimes talks about like that discouragement. Something's not quite developing as it's supposed to, especially around plans. And that was definitely the case. So I was preparing for the work week on that day, and it just felt like it took forever to get all of my ducks in a row. And then Monday, Justice. This one was really pretty boring, I guess you could put it. It's talking about, I work in a quasi-judicial field, so it was really just representing, okay, you are going to work and you're doing what you're supposed to. Wheel of Fortune was on Tuesday. This one again, Tuesday I have guest speaking for a college class. So all these figures reading a book, that was a little bit about that, completing one aspect of a training. Like I said, it's not always super deep. It can be very surface level stuff, but still pretty fun when you see it unfold like in your life. Chariot Reversed. Chariot Reversed is a really emotionally upset card. It on this day, everything kind of went not to plan, hit every red light, trying to get to a place, and there was a delay. I ended up being stuck behind a funeral procession, which is no big deal. Like, it's fine, but it's one of those things where you see this chariot reversed and you can be pretty much guaranteed things are not really going to go your way. And I knew that back on Saturday, so I knew to expect on Wednesday that things were going to be a little bit weird and that I should be prepared for that. So how did I prepare? I left early. I also made sure that everything was good with the car as far as I was aware of. I made sure there was lots of gas in it and the battery was testing okay, all that kind of good stuff. So that's one example of how you can use this weekly spread to give you kind of a heads up around what might happen in your week. So if you see cards that have traditionally negative meanings or delay meanings, so underneath this one was the Knight of Swords reversed. So it was definitely a case of things, especially travel, it's not going as planned. Hierophant, that was yesterday. Not really anything in particular interesting happened, so I think the meaning here was just it could be taken as training someone. So I was doing a little bit of training with someone, trying to get them into a process. So that reflects sort of the tradition aspect of it, and initiation, getting into a groove with like a distinct set of rules. So again, not groundbreaking stuff. The more often you do this, the more the cards are less likely to be super dramatic. Like, they'll give you a heads up if something major is going to happen. For the most part, like week after week, sometimes the majors can show up and they're just showing you a different side of them that is not really a big deal. There's also astrological correspondences as well, so if you are an astrologer or have an interest in that, you can find out like what planets are going on with the cards, and that might also be relevant. So it might not make sense, but then if you look at which planets are ruling a particular card, it can kind of be like, oh, okay, well, the moon entered this sign on this day, and that's why this card is here. And then today, just constant kind of endless to-dos. There's just a lot of things at work that are continuing on, and sometimes it feels like you take on more tasks and it never seems to end. So this is like that never-ending feeling just coming out today. So yeah, that is a summary of a week, how it kind of manifested, and this is what you can come to expect if you start to do this over the course of several weeks. And if you take pictures, you can go through week after week and see over time, do certain cards come out all more than others? Are they stalking you? That kind of thing. If you start getting repeaters, that's when you know you really need to pay attention. So anyway, that is a summary of how it works in practice. It was my intention that this video be helpful for any tarot practitioner who wants to approach their cards with curiosity and excitement for the possibilities it has for them. Thanks for watching.